Hey everyone, it's Ross here. Let's quickly go through the second setup for simple wave interference. So here in front of you on your left, you have two speakers. The bottom one's going to stay fixed, and we're going to move the top one as we go through. As you can see, there's a center line marked. That's solely just to, sort of for reference here. You do want to know, as you can see with the ruler, how far apart the two speakers are. So that's important. So the first way, you point the speakers at each other and you went directly along the center line. In this case, since they're close to each other but they're still separated, you want to know how the waves will interfere. So remember that they have sort of that ripple-like effect where, that's what I call it, where like they look spherical as they go out. So here the important part is the distance between, the difference between the distances from each speaker you're looking at. So if you go from the top speaker, let's go from the bottom speaker actually. So if you go from the bottom speaker and you go a certain amount out, then there's a difference in path, to get to this point from each speaker. So the idea here is that you go along one speaker, and as you go, you keep track of whether you hear a high or a low point. And the idea here is that you're not going so far that you get like big losses from just being far from the source of the sound. And you can really notice, you'll see like you'll find one high. This is way too close for like audible frequencies, but unless you just have, supersonic hearing. So really what'll happen, right, is you'll find a spot, and then so much later you'll find, so let's say you find a high first, then you'll find a low, then you'll find another high. And the idea here is that this position is dependent on the spacing of the two speakers, the tone you're using, and the speed at which so it's the speed of sound in this case. And so the difference between the distances between the two speakers has to be some fraction, and they're particular fractions of the wavelength of that sound. So just to note, if you were going to do an experiment with this setup, you would pick a minimum distance for separation, so as close as you can, or just a little bit. Usually you want to be a little off, so some sort of minimum, maybe 10 centimeters or so. And then you're going to find your highs and lows, and then you're going to move one speaker, so you might move the top speaker farther away, and then you'll refine highs and lows, and you'll compare based on some theory whether or not you're getting all the right spots, and then you'll compare the distance between highs and lows and see if those distances from the speaker, you can also talk about the difference between highs and lows, but usually you want the distance from the speaker. And then you figure out the path difference from, for both speakers, and that path difference should be some fraction of the wavelength of the sound. Okay, so just a quick little video recap. There's two simple ways to talk about wave interference for sound. This still technically works for light, but some of the details are just for sound. You can face the speakers at each other and go along the center line, or you can put them next to each other, go along the center line for one speaker, find your highs and lows, and then make them farther apart and find your highs and lows again, and notice how those separations there depend on the separation distance here, and then how it relates to the wavelength of the sound you're playing. Okay, thanks everyone. Have a good one. Bye.